it doesn't seem like that would end well.
Danny, don't forget that NATO was in Asia. NATO got kicked out of Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a key crossroads of Central Asia and South Asia. Afghanistan is in the heartland, the historic heartland of Asia. So Mackinder would be one of the first to talk about the importance of Afghanistan. And no wonder Afghanistan was always important, because it's in the heart of the heartland for us. And we all know what happened to NATO in Afghanistan. And even worse than that, not if this humiliation in Afghanistan was not enough, now we have that piece of Norwegian wood saying that China is getting close to us. It's not NATO that is getting close to China. It's China that is threatening because they are coming close to us. So this idiot also is another one who failed geography class in Norway when he was a kid, right? What is all that? Of course, desperation, because NATO essentially, as we know, at least for the past 20, since Yugoslavia, in fact, for the past 24, 25 years, it's a global Robocop. It's what I call it at the time. When I was writing at the time about NATO, I was already defining it as a global Robocop. And I followed all those bloody NATO meetings year after year during the 2000s. All of them. I remember many of them, the Lisbon, you name it, And they have been conceptualizing the global role of NATO for at least 25 years, the past 25 years. It's not going to change, of course, whatever stupid Scandinavian they're going to have for NATO Secretary General, or even much worse. Can you imagine if we have Ursula von der Leyen as the next NATO Secretary General? So this is not going to change. This is not going to change. And of course, because the directives always come from Washington, and the real war is against China, NATO, real war, the next NATO real war is going to be against China, inevitable. But that does not mean that the war in Ukraine, they are going to forget that there is a war in Ukraine. And this is what all of us are very worried about. When you look at this 50 billion euro that was approved yesterday in Brussels, because they managed basically to blackmail Orban with this mechanism that, okay, every year we review, and depending on the results, and then the next tranche comes next year. So they approved 50 billion euros for 4 years. It's very similar to the package that Crash Test Dummy is trying to negotiate in the US, right? In the US, it's $60 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So instead of getting the American package, they got the EU package, which is almost the same amount over 4 years, of course. And the most important thing is that most of it is loans. And these loans will have to be paid. Yes. And obviously those hryvnias, those bloody hryvnias, you cannot even buy a popsicle. Can you imagine? Repay 33 billion euros that have to be repaid. 17 are grants, aid grants or whatever. And it was very interesting because this week, some guys with a little bit of a brain at the French parliament, they start doing the math, and they say, oh, wait a minute. France contributes 16% of the EU budget. This is 8 billion euros. So the French taxpayers are giving 8 billion euros to country 404 instead of giving to their agricultural workers who were, as we speak, in front of the parliament in Brussels and in front of the largest wet market in the world, in Rungis, outside of Paris, blocking the highways all the way to Paris, saying, look, we cannot take it anymore. And those 8 billion euros would make a lot of difference for these people. I know.
Thank you for